Back, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Tokyo in Japan as he was greeted by the Japanese delegation and India's ambassador to Japan. The Prime Minister now shortly is expected to make his way to interact and meet with the Japanese counterpart, Prime Minister Ishiba, on whose invitation the Prime Minister accepted this visit. This is his 8th visit to Japan, as the Prime Minister has arrived in Tokyo for a 2-day visit on the invitation of the Japanese Prime Minister, where he will be taking part in the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit and discussions that are expected to center around trade, security, technology cooperation. Upon his arrival, he was accorded a rousing and a warm welcome by the Indian diaspora and Japanese artists, where cultural performances were put up for the Prime Minister especially, including that of the Gayatri Mantra, as the Prime Minister was individually greeting the delegation. As in a short while from now, this is going to be the Prime Minister's standalone visit in 7 years, but this is also coming at a time where globally India has been facing Trump tariff tussle. Let's listen in to the Indian diaspora on what they have to say upon meeting the Prime Minister.
How was the feeling?
It was so impressive. Like, I was surprised that I didn't expect that he could take a picture with us. So I was so happy with, like, take a picture and also show the dance of us.
बोलने का तो मौका नहीं है, लेकिन क्योंकि बहुत उत्साहित हैं सब हम सारे, और ये मोदी जी के आने का एक उत्सव होता है इधर इंडियन डायस्पोरा में। तो मैं यहाँ से 26 साल से हूँ और पिछले 8 बार मोदी जी आ चुके हैं, और 8 बार भी हम उत्साहित होते हैं। बिजनेसेस बढ़ते हैं इधर, और बिजनेस का डिस्कशन होता है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें होते हैं यहाँ पर। तो इट्स अ फुल इकोसिस्टम दैट इज हैपनिंग हियर।
भारत के शेर है, भारत की बेटी ने भी उनका प्रतिम लगाया हुआ है, भारत के शेर विद भारत के फ्लैग के साथ जापान में। मोदी जी इस बार 8वीं बार आए हैं। मैं उनसे 3 बार मिली, ये 3री बार है। हिरोशिमा में जब वो आए थे और गांधी जी का उन्होंने उद्घाटन किया था, तब भी मिली थी। हमेशा उनसे मिलने का उत्साह जो है बढ़ते ही जाता है, क्योंकि उनके आने से हमें एक बहुत बड़ी सपोर्ट और महसूस जो फीलिंग मजबूती की होती है वो है कि उन्होंने बहुत हम सब डायस्पोरा, भारतीय इंडियन डायस्पोरा को उन्होंने एक मौका दिया है अपना फीलिंग दिखाने का कि हम भी कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं। वो चीज बहुत मुश्किल है किसी और भी नेता में आपको देखने को।
मुझे मोदी जी से मिलने का पहली बार मौका मिला। आई वाज सुपर एक्साइटेड टू मीट हिम, द वे द कंट्री इज ग्रोइंग, हिज पॉलिसीज, एवरीथिंग। द पीपल लाइक अस, द 10 years back who have lost the interest in the politics have regained that interest, and now we are watching, we are just sticking to our television and his new policies and everything.
Well, super happy and excited as far as greeting the Prime Minister and looking at him in person. There, Srinjoy, good morning. As we speak, as the agenda now sets in motion when it comes to both of the countries that are now seeking to deepen their strategic and economic partnership with this visit.
Yes, undoubtedly. First of all, let's not forget that these are very difficult times, and you've spoken about them already. The fact that India and Japan are part of 2 important groups, Malabar and Quad. Now, Quad is not a military alliance, but it aims towards ensuring peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. Now, one of the 4 members of the Quad and Malabar is the United States. Now, in these Trump years, does America want to continue with multilateral friendships? That's something we are not sure about. But then you're never sure about anything vis-a-vis Donald Trump. So at this point, as there are doubts about the Quad and the Malabar, particularly the Quad, it is important that this bilateral relationship remains strong. So this has to be kept in mind. The Malabar, of course, as you know, is the defense, a naval alliance between India, Japan, America, and Australia. This is a set of exercises that happen annually every year. Now, as far as defense is concerned,
yes,
Japan and India are keen to work together. There is a possibility of working on radars together, the possibility of Japanese investment in India, not just in defense, but in other areas.
Yes.
But as far as science and technology and investment are concerned, this is going to be a very crucial visit. First of all, we already know about the bullet train that will run from Gujarat to
I think we'll
Maharashtra.
focus on that one by one, Shinjoy, because as far as the Prime Minister's program is concerned, it is vast, it is lengthy. But when we speak on the focus, however, it is not just on investment and security, but also on innovation, investment and semiconductors as well. More reactions coming in from the diaspora itself. Let's quickly dip in.
Very happy to see Modi ji today because he was so humble. We are very happy. We are proud. We have a very global Prime Minister. India, Japan have the same DNA and a lot of relationship between India and Japan. We welcome Modi ji and we are very happy to meet him today.
मैं ये बोलना चाह रहा हूँ कि पहले मोदी जी ने मुझे कभी डिग्री दी थी और आज उन्होंने सामने देख के काफी अच्छा लग रहा है और भारत जिस हिसाब से बढ़ रहा है और इससे जो भी देश जुड़ रहा है वो भी तरक्की करेगा, नॉट ओनली द भारत, और आगे भी काफी बढ़ता जाएगा और ये कभी झुकता नहीं है, पहले जवाब देना भी जानता है और सपोर्ट करना भी जानता है।
सबसे बड़ी बात है कि मोदी जी ने सर पे हाथ रख दिया तो पूरा आशीर्वाद मोदी जी का मिल गया है, तो मोदी जी जैसा तो कोई नहीं हो सकता। विश्व के जो हमारे इंडिया के हैं बेस्ट प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी हैं और मैं चाहती हूँ कि हर बार मोदी ही सरकार आए। भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की वंदे वंदे वंदे।
आज मोदी जी से आशीर्वाद भी मिल गया है, बहुत खुशी हुई है। स्पेस में, साइंस में, टेक्नोलॉजी में, सब जगह में, जहां पर मेक इन इंडिया भी आजकल बहुत प्रचार पर है और उन्नति पर है, जापान में और इंडिया के संबंध में और भी प्रगति होगी। और मैं आशा नहीं करता हूं, मैं ये बताता हूं कि इंडिया विश्व गुरु ना होके विश्व गुरु हो चुका है। सो होगा नहीं, हो गया है। इसके लिए मैं बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Well, amid Bharat Mata ki Jai chants, there is the Prime Minister's another post where he seems to be interacting with the Indian diaspora and seems to be also excited when it comes to the interactions that has been taking place as far as the cultural performances and dance performances that the Prime Minister seems to thoroughly enjoy. He's put up a post as well sharing pictures of his interaction with the diaspora. He goes on to say, and I quote, "Deeply touched by the warmth and affection of the Indian community here in Tokyo, their commitment to preserving our cultural roots while contributing meaningfully to Japanese society is truly commendable. In few hours from now, we'll be interacting with a group of business leaders with a focus on adding vigor to India-Japan trade and investment ties." And this is the Prime Minister there who shared pictures of his interaction where there are children there are youngsters, the youth, and of course when it comes to the Indian diaspora, which is quite strong in Japan and also quite influential. But building on these relations that have been going on for several decades now, the Prime Minister is now moving to further strengthening ties between India and Japan. His 8th visit, as far as when it comes to this particular visit is also concerned, India and Japan has steadily, in scope and ambition, over the last decade, has strengthened their ties between the two countries. Let's in fact take a look when we speak of the Prime Minister who's just landed in Tokyo. Apart from the cultural engagement, what's going to be when the Prime Minister now gets down to business? Because at the center of this visit is reportedly an expected announcement that is now coming in of massive Japanese investment in India. This is going to be one of the biggest investment packages that we speak of. According to reports we are learning, this is going to be around a $68 billion investment that is going to be likely announced by Japan, targeting key sectors like semiconductors, there is green energy, manufacturing, infrastructure as well, and this would mark one of the biggest foreign investment pledges in India. Both sides that are now looking also to strengthen their defense cooperation, joint military exercises, maritime security, defense technology, and when it comes to the transfer technology, that is also going to be one of the key focuses. Another crucial factor that we speak of is that India and Japan will deepen their cooperation in infrastructure. Now, what do we think of Japan? What comes in our mind is bullet trains. Now, this is going to be an additional stress on Make in India when it comes to the tie-up, which is also being said that India has been continuously pushing for. And India and Japan are likely to sign an agreement on the introduction of Japanese E10 coaches that are expected to be transferred to India in 2030 for the Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project. Then next day, Prime Ministers of India and Japan are expected to take a tour of the Tokyo Electron Factory as well and the famed Japanese electronic semiconductor company. But as far as the Prime Minister's visit is concerned, in the pictures we also saw the Indian ambassador to Japan, who was also there to greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There you can see him. We had a short conversation with him just before the Prime Minister's visit. Let's listen in.
And even as the Prime Minister embarks upon his visit to Japan, joining us for the expectations from this particular visit is the Indian ambassador to Japan. C.B. George is joining us. Thank you so much, Mr. George, for speaking to Times Now. There is an expectation that Japan intends to increase its engagement with India, particularly as far as business ties and investment is concerned. What can you tell us about that, sir?
In our engagement between India and Japan, the entire spectrum of bilateral relationship is covered. Business is an important element of that relationship. You have seen that Japan has always been an important economic partner for us. In our movement towards the Amritkal period, when we plan to become a developed country by 2047, Japan is a very reliable partner for us. So we would be seeing a lot of progress, lot of discussions in this forthcoming summit, and also a lot of very important outcomes covering the entire spectrum of relationship, starting with the political relationship, economic relationship, science and technology, people-to-people exchanges. You will see a lot of important documents being agreed to, and also MOUs being released.
Mr. George, these are very interesting times, to say the least, when trade and tariffs and much talk around them. In your view, have Japan and India been able to grow their strategic and business partnership to the level that both countries expect? And I'm asking you this as a bilateral trade with Japan year on year is just a fraction of the bilateral trade between Japan and its strategic rival China. Have we identified where we can potentially improve?
See, when we look at India-Japan economic relationship, trade is one factor of that. But there are other elements like Japanese companies operating in India, being part of our Make in India program. If you look at it, there are 1,500 Japanese companies currently in India, and at least 5,000 Japanese establishment in India. These are all success stories. Let me give you an example. Prime Minister has recently, last week, inaugurated the first EV project by Suzuki Motors.
Mr. George, there's also a larger question of the Quad, in which both India and Japan are a part of. Now, there are many who believe that the Quad entire efforts could have perhaps been weakened by the actions of President Trump. Does its future in that sense hang in the balance if unilaterally, America decides to alter its own priorities? How do you see that cooperation area and it developing in coming months?
See, when we look at India-Japan relationship, as I mentioned, it is a special, strategic and global partnership. It is not just bilateral. Bilateral is very important, but we also have plurilateral relationship. We also have multilateral relationship. When we talk about plurilateral relationship, one of the most important factor is the Quad. Four like-minded countries have come together with a concrete agenda for concrete proposals for progress and stability in Indo-Pacific and beyond. It is again a success story. We have seen it from the very humble beginnings in 2004 during the tsunami. So I am confident that India and Japan are important players in the Quad, and during the meeting of Honorable Prime Minister with the Japanese Prime Minister, being these two important countries meeting together, definitely they would be discussing about geopolitical issues, geoeconomic issues, and of course plurilateral forums like Quad will come up for discussions, and I see a great future for Quad.
Well, as the Prime Minister is in Japan, but when it comes to the provocation that continues from the United States side, this is yet another, as far as if we can call it, crossing the line when it comes.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.